All right, it's RV Eats and we're ready for that beef stroganoff. The beef that I made earlier today before we went out and explored more of Pennsylvania has been cooking all day long. So I wanted to get some meat prepped in the crock pot to cook while we're gone for about 6 hours. Drizzle some olive oil in there. Sweet white onion. You don't need really good knife skills. It's just going in the crock pot. It's all gonna lend some flavor to the meat that I'm putting in there. Real rough chop on the garlic. I got the butcher to cut up some ribeye into stew meat chunks because it's going to cook more even that way, and it's going in the crock pot. Garlic is going on top of the meat. Next is seasoning the sea salt, and really you want to season it to taste. I'm doing just about a teaspoon. Worcestershire. I also add a little bit of ground thyme. Again, it's going to give it a little earthy flavor. Just a little sprinkle because it can get pretty soapy tasting, I think, if you add too much. I'm just cutting the stems off of the flat leaf parsley. I'm leaving the leaves for when I do my buttered noodles, but I just throw in the stems. That's going to lend in some real nice freshness. Sprinkle that in there, and I do the same with the dill stems. You're not going to eat these in the end. It's just going to lend some flavor. Throw that in there. A little bit of white wine. I know it seems strange with red meat, but I just like it to give it a little bit of a sweet white wine flavor, and then a little bit of beef stock. And I just do that to loosen it up a little bit and give it some sauce. Once that cooks down, all of those juices I'm going to add later to my sauce, but it's time to set it and forget it. I'm going to show you how I make my sauce first. I've got a big old pot of water boiling. I salted it, and those are for the super wide egg noodles. That's what the stroganoff's going to go on. But first we're going in the pan here. I'm going to hit it with some olive oil. Ooh, it's a hot pan. And I'm going to also add a little bit of butter because the butter is going to be part of the sauce that we're making. All right. Now remember those onions and garlic that I chopped up earlier? I brought those out here, and we're going to cook those off. And we'll turn that down. That's really hot. Listen to that sizzle. I'm going to let those onions and garlic cook down. I chopped them super fine. I like them little in this sauce because I want them basically just to melt away. While that cooks, I'm going to hit it with some salt and pepper. Again, it's just layers of flavor that are going in both the meat side and in the sauce side. Some fresh ground pepper. I like a pepper. I like a lot of pepper with my beef. Meat can hold up to it. I'm also going to add a little bit more of that Worcestershire. It kind of echoes all those beefy flavors. Listen to that sizzle. All right, let that cook down a little bit more. Now I'm going to add those portobello mushrooms. They were the baby bellas that I chopped up super fine. That goes in there too. And I'm going to just let that cook down. In fact, I'm going to put the lid on it and let it sweat. I'm going to borrow that lid from my noodle pot. That water's already boiling. Let that go, and I'm going to add the noodles to the boiling water. I've got the super wide egg noodles, Pennsylvania Dutch. I got 2 bags of them. They're going in. And just stir them around, get them all in that water. And I always salt the water, like the sea. I grew up in a Sicilian household, and if you had plain noodles, it was kind of a sin. All right, those will boil down. Excellent. Okay, back to the mushrooms. Ooh, yeah. Those are cooking down. Nice. Can you smell that, Kev?
No, the wind's blowing that way, but I take your word for it.
All right, I want this to cook down even more. I want those mushrooms and the onions to almost disappear. We're getting there. In the meantime, that meat's just sitting there on all its juices. I'm gonna throw it in here as soon as I get this sauce going. Just you wait. Mushrooms and onions are at a perfect spot for me to add the white wine. And this is a local to Pennsylvania. It's called Tears of Gettysburg, and it's a nice, crisp, sweet white wine. I think it'll go perfect with the mushrooms and onions. And I'm just gonna deglaze the pan here. Add enough for it to boil down and get sweet. All right, and I'm just letting that alcohol burn off. Oh, hold on. We're boiling over here on the noodles, kids. These are cooking down nice. I don't want them to go too far. I don't want them to be mushy. So I'm gonna turn those off and let them finish out in just the hot salted water. We're gonna add some butter and parsley in a bit. Perfect. Now I'm gonna add my flour because we're making a roux out of this. I'm gonna lower my heat down a little bit. I don't want it boiling. And I'm gonna add, oh gosh, just a couple of heaping forkfuls because we wanna make this a little bit thicker so it clings to the meat once we go in there. And I'm gonna cook that out so that the flour taste cooks out. See how it's all gathering here and getting thick? Really nice and thick. Now we're gonna gradually add the beef stock in here. You can also add the juices from the crock pot. That works too. We're gonna use that a little bit later. Now I'm gonna add some beef stock to loosen this up and make it more of a sauce. You wanna gradually work it in so you don't get any lumps. See how beautiful that's gonna look with the beef? I'm gonna go up a little bit with the heat, just one more to a 3. This is my induction burner from Equator. I love it, it's super versatile. It heats up really fast, works perfect with my magma pots. The magma pots work on induction and they work on regular burners, electric and gas. Okay. That's looking good. I have not added any cream, any fats to this other than the olive oil and a little bit of the butter in the beginning. You could leave it like this if you wanted to. I am gonna just drizzle in a little bit of heavy cream here at the end to make it a little luxurious for my crew. They work hard and I wanna feed them well. All right, I need to taste this. I nailed it. Maybe a little bit more salt. It's ready for the meat. We had all that meat cooked down. I've added it to the sauce. There was a lot of crock-pot juice in there as well. It's coming together really nicely. I don't like to throw away anything. So even the stems of parsley, stems of dill, I use those just to get the flavor in here. Just to dress it up a little bit, I'm gonna add some butter, a little bit of more salt, and some parsley. It's gonna just give it a little bit of a sauce to go under that beef stroganoff. Just going in with the butter. Stir that around. Ooh, these noodles are hot. I actually left a little bit of the pasta water in the bottom of the pan too. I didn't drain it all out. And here's a good tip for you. Do not drain your pasta water inside your RV. There's so much starch in there that it could clog your drain and it could clog your pipes. Make sure you drain that water into a bowl and then later dispose of it outside. Oh yeah, this is looking good. Hey Kev, is the crew on the way?
Yeah, they just texted me. They should be here in about 30 minutes.
Awesome. Look how pretty that is. Oh, it's gonna look great under the beef stroganoff. I'm gonna need a taste of that. That's gonna be good. All right, we are hot. We're getting there. Look how rich and meaty that is. Those mushrooms just add in, and you could make this actually vegetarian with the portobello mushrooms. Chop those up super fine or chop them up as big as you want, but you could do the same thing if you're vegetarian. You could use a mushroom stock rather than the beef stock. I'm just taking out these because I know a couple of my crew members are picky eaters and they may not like seeing the stems. Last but not least, just to make this a little bit more decadent and a little bit more special for the crew, I'm adding a little bit of half and half. All it's going to do is just add a little bit of richness and make it look super creamy. At the very end, I'm also going to hit it with a little bit of sour cream, dollop it on their plate if they want it. It just goes hand in hand with stroganoff. Give it a stir. It just made it a little extra creamy. Look at that beautiful color. This is how I plate it. I get a little bit of noodles first. Make sure they're not sticking together. Get a nice bed of noodles. I like to make a little well in the middle because the meat will pile up there. And then get a little bit of the meat right in the center. Oh my gosh, look at that contrast between the dark meat and the mushrooms there and that creamy sauce. And then I do a little dollop of sour cream right in the middle. That'll just add to the sauce. Hey Kev,
Yeah.
you want to come give it a taste?
Sure.
And that's my RV Eats beef stroganoff. Let's taste it. Grab some meat. Get a noodle. It's gonna be hot.
The meat is so tender, it just melts in your mouth.
It's been cooking in there all day.
I can grab a little.
I can taste the fresh herbs that cooked alongside with the meat. It really is delicious. You think they're gonna like it?
I think they're gonna like it.
Awesome. Come on guys, make a plate.